Joe Rogan has recently shared a shocking claim about human cloning, saying he believes the practice is far more common and widespread than most people realize. And after hearing those comments, many people online started questioning whether Jim Carrey may have actually been cloned and what the real reason behind it could possibly be.
Do take what we know now in terms of like what they are capable of doing now with human beings and lengthening telomeres. There's a lot of different methodologies that they're using. If they're telling you that there's no clones, the guy telling you is probably a fucking clone. At this point, I have no doubt that they've made human clones.
A man that goes by the name of Brian Bishop sent an email to Epstein that reads, "Attached is the doc you requested. It's the use of funds spreadsheet for the designer baby and human cloning company. This gets us out of our self-funded garage biology phase to the first live birth of a human designer baby."
And that was the moment when the rumors really started to spread quickly among people online.
Here's all the evidence we have to confirm that Jim Carrey has been cloned in less than 1 minute. Alright, so to start off, here's what Jim Carrey looked like a year ago, and here's what he actually looks like now. Definitely a very noticeable difference, and many say he is looking completely unrecognizable. Next, as you can see all the way up at the top, Jim Carrey's eye color has been brown literally his entire life, and while the other day when he was spotted at an award show, his eye color was actually light green. Jim Carrey has also had the same signature for literally his entire life, and when he was at that same exact award show the other day, he ended up signing some things for some fans, and his signature completely changed. And then finally at that same exact award show a few days ago, Jim Carrey literally straight up said that he was dead during an interview, and then also said that his favorite funny face to wear is the face that he is wearing right now.
People just could not believe that this was really Jim Carrey, and one fan commented that nothing about the situation has been properly explained and suggested that Jim should appear publicly in a real and open setting where his fans can actually see him in person rather than controlled celebrity events, while another person said that the more people try to prove it is truly Jim Carrey, the more suspicious and worrying it starts to feel, adding that if it is really him, then he should come forward himself because the situation feels disturbing and people should stay alert. And some fans also compared this whole situation to his behavior in the past, especially around 2017 when he openly criticized Hollywood and award shows where he mocked the entertainment industry and expressed how empty and meaningless it felt to him, which led certain people to believe that he may have been speaking against deeper and more powerful systems operating behind the scenes at that time.
Certain icons have the power to make change, to think differently, to be bold, to inspire others. Artistry, you're one of them.
On the good foot. Ha! Yeah. You shut her down now. Yeah, no, I don't believe in icons. I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personality, beyond invention and disguise, beyond the red X that you wear on your chest that makes bullets bounce off. I believe that it's deeper than that. I believe we're a field of energy dancing for itself. And I don't care.
But Jim, you got really dressed up for the occasion. You look good.
No, I didn't
that an
get dressed
accident?
up. I didn't get dressed up.
Who did?
There is no me.
There's no you.
No.
We're not here. This is a dream?
There's just things happening. And there are clusters of tetrahedrons moving around together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's happening in our world right now? Because there is a lot of news that actually is relevant that's not that
Here's
uplifting.
the thing. It's not our world.
None
That's
of this
the
is
key.
real?
Nope.
So you're just passing
We don't
through.
matter. We don't matter.
Oh, wow.
There's the good news.
Okay.
So, when he appeared years later looking and acting different, some people began connecting the dots in their own way. And they started suggesting that Jim Carrey may have been dealt with or even silenced in some way, while others claimed he had simply changed to match a new version of Hollywood and its expectations. And that is how the cloning theory started circulating again, even though this is not the first time the internet has reacted like this, because similar rumors have followed other celebrities as well, with some people claiming Eminem was cloned based on side-by-side photos taken from completely different stages of his life, while others have said that Avril Lavigne was replaced years ago, and that her story still has many unanswered questions.
Avril Lavigne. Is it actually her, or is it a woman named Melissa?
What?
Allegedly, Melissa Vandella, this woman that was Avril Lavigne's friend before Avril Lavigne allegedly passed away, took on Avril Lavigne's whole persona. And it's not actually the OG Avril Lavigne that we have today, but it's this woman named Melissa Vandella that looks just like Avril Lavigne.
That's crazy.
So those close to Avril suggested that she struggled with fame after her Let Go album.
Right.
She blew up so fast.
Right.
She was so famous, so successful, whatever. And it really got to her mentally. As we've seen this happen with like Demi Lovato, Miley Cyrus.
It's tough.
It's tough. Justin Bieber. It's
all tough.
That part of it, very believable. The thing was, in 2003, when she was already struggling with like her adjustment to fame, her grandmother had passed away, and Avril was really, really close with her grandmother. Allegedly, Avril just spun into this depression spiral, and she unalived herself. Music execs and slimy Hollywood were like, we just found a masterpiece of someone that we could profit off of. So they were like, she can't die. And the girl that she's hanging out with, Melissa Vandella, who does look just like her, they were like, perfect, problem solved. We're gonna make Melissa Avril.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
Dude, that's an insane
No,
theory.
it's insane. So allegedly, like, Melissa and Avril like were spending so much time together, and like execs knew her, and they were like, we'll just teach her everything. But where this is weird, her next album is called Under My Skin, and there's a few songs on there that point to this conspiracy theory maybe being real. One of them is a song about suicide and how much she like misses that person. For the promotional photo shoot of her second album, she oddly has Melissa like written on her hand, and to this day it's never been explained why. Even when she went on Call Her Daddy, Alex never asked her like what was up with the like Melissa on your hand on the promo for the second album.
That's
after
weird.
Avril allegedly died. It's weird.
That's weird.
It's weird.
It's weird.
And then fans think that this could be real because apparently Avril has like these significant differences to her physical look throughout the years. I guess she had growing up a lot of different like moles and freckles that are no longer there. This would be crazy. It is the most far-fetched conspiracy I've ever heard, but there are some unanswered questions.
Gucci Mane also faced similar claims after his appearance noticeably changed following his time in prison. Even though in reality his lifestyle had clearly improved and transformed over the years, and in most of these situations the explanation is actually simple because people naturally age, change their habits, and start looking different over time. But despite that, these theories still do not stop spreading, and some individuals take things even further by claiming that celebrities are replaced using body doubles, masks, or professional lookalikes, which to them feels believable because highly realistic masks and prosthetics do exist in modern times, and Jim Carrey himself has also mentioned that he has used decoys before, which only adds more fuel to these ongoing theories in the eyes of believers.
Done this a few times now, and it's using a decoy.
I'm sorry, a decoy?
Using a decoy. It sounds so ridiculous, but it works like a charm.
Like a double.
It's fantastic.
Like a Jim Carrey double.
A Jim Carrey double.
Well, yeah, that's amazing.
So what I do is I send him off in one direction, sucks all the press in that direction, and I can just have my day. And
whatever
just
you want to
go
do.
Wherever I want, totally unmolested. It's fantastic.
Right.
And,
well, they say the best ideas are the simplest ones, and this really couldn't be more
it
simple.
really is
and
amazing.
I'm sure it works.
really works.
Wow.
So a lot of times when you see the rag magazines and you see me at Starbucks in Malibu,
it's him, yeah.
That's right.
Are you paying him enough? Because
I pay him a lot, and he gets laid a lot, I think, because of it.
Really? Wait, you're telling me that guy has actually had... Oh, golly. How's your life generally? How are things going on for you? What's happening with you, the guy, Jim?
I'm so glad you asked, because I want to talk. I want to really talk.
All right, let's do that.
Because I see these shows sometimes, and people come out here and they just do bits and stuff like they're not really talking to you.
That's right. Yeah.
I can tell you get frustrated with it.
Bit after bit, of course. Exactly, that's what I'm about.
And it bugs me.
There were even rumors like this extending beyond Hollywood into public figures in politics, with some people claiming that politicians were being replaced by actors during public appearances, while others pointed to very small physical details like ears, facial expressions, or skin movement as supposed evidence of masks, even though most of these claims have already been debunked or traced back to edited clips and misleading content. But when it comes to Jim Carrey, he has also spoken a lot about identity and at times suggested that even Jim Carrey is more like a character than a fixed self. And when people combine that with his history of being outspoken about Hollywood and powerful figures, some start building narratives that he may have been silenced. And in those discussions, the name of Jeffrey Epstein also comes up because he was linked in public discussion to influential circles in Hollywood, which leads some online users to further speculate in extreme directions, including claims about cloning or advanced replacement technology, even though these ideas remain unverified and are mostly driven by interpretation rather than confirmed evidence. And this line of thinking gained more attention after journalist Nick Bryant spoke in detail about newly released Epstein-related emails, which some viewers interpreted in very different ways depending on their existing beliefs.
These emails, they're referring to pizza, and I don't think it's pizza. So it's moved my needle from agnosticism to, what's going on here. The transhumanism and cloning is actually kind of mind-boggling too.
Yeah, so tell us about that.
Brian Bishop, who is a famous biologist, is talking to Epstein about making designer babies and genetic editing. And genetic editing comes up again. And then there's also a famous biologist named Bob Travers. And
that's the one who, by the way, Norman Finkelstein wrote to. Bob Travers, yeah.
And he talks about actually taking boys and giving them hormone blockers and girls and giving them testosterone. And actually, he's talking about making, I think, a hermaphrodite. That's what they're shooting for, is a very sexy hermaphrodite. I mean, that's my extrapolation anyway.
Yeah, this is pretty graphic. So it says, it's very simple. I will compare male to female with female to male, and the subject matter is trans. With greater molecular control over development, we are increasingly capable of producing novel phenotypes, more feminine men, by blocking testosterone receptors or castration, and at the same time increasing estrogen production. The one blocks male features. The second encourages female features. More masculine women, heavy testosterone, incredible external effects, heavily bearded men. You would never guess they had a female body and their bone in their body. First kind, male to female, is 4 times more frequent than female to male. The first is attractive. He is a woman with a COCK.
Nick Bryant said that going through this kind of material felt overwhelming, even for someone like him who had already spent years investigating similar cases, and he compared it to his earlier work on powerful networks, explaining that the Epstein situation felt like a repeat of patterns he had already seen before in other high-level investigations.
I can remember when I wrote a book, The Franklin Scandal, a story of power brokers, child abuse, and betrayal. And Epstein network is kind of a carbon copy of the Franklin network in many, many ways. And there were a number of very sadistic pedophiles that were very high up in the government that were taking part with those kids. And I can remember when I was pitching it to editors, I got this look. I mean, I watched this cognitive dissonance go down right before me. I could see them go, this is a horrible story. I need to help Nick Bryant. Or I can write Nick Bryant off as crazy right now and have a nice meal with my family tonight. Now, I knew that most of them would go the latter route, but I didn't think all of them would.
As part of his investigation, Nick Bryant obtained Jeffrey Epstein's contact book, often referred to as the Black Book, and began reaching out to people linked to it. And he said that some individuals reportedly described being moved between different locations, including being flown to private islands, which in turn added more weight in his view to the idea that Epstein's network may have been larger and more organized than people initially believed, and that he could have been involved in far more than what has been publicly confirmed.
Florida has the most victims. And so I started to call them, and one told me that actually I talked to her mother. She was there, but I talked to her mother, and the mother said that she'd been 13 when Epstein had molested her. And then I talked to another one who said that she was flown around. And then I talked to another one that said she was flown to an island. And at that point, I knew that I suspected it because of that very corrupt grand jury, that I had come across another network. And it was kind of emotionally devastating to me in the respect that I spent 7 years on the Franklin scandal, and it is heavily corroborated. I knew that the bar was going to be extremely high, and I think I met all those expectations. But I couldn't get it published in New York. I had to get it published by a small publisher on the West Coast. And then when the Franklin scandal, we unfurled the Franklin scandal, no one really bought it. So I'm like 2 years removed from that. And then I'm investigating Jeffrey Epstein. And I can remember just how devastating it was to me, that because the Franklin scandal had taken such an emotional toll on me. But I also knew that because of all the knowledge that I'd acquired, that it was kind of incumbent upon me to go forward with this investigation. And when I brought the Black Book back to New York, again, nobody wanted to touch it. And then I eventually acquired the flight logs, and nobody wanted to touch it. And then finally Gawker published it, and then the floodgates just opened.
So now there is a growing narrative online claiming that human cloning is not just science fiction anymore, but something that is already happening in secret, hidden behind celebrity culture and major industries. And according to these claims, the truth behind it is far darker than most people originally thought.
I've been told about a black market for babies. And a woman told me that she had been used to make babies for this black market. So I'd heard of that before. And then Jeffrey Epstein gets into pizza. I mean, there's a lot of allusion to pizza and muffins and steaks and jerky. And when I heard about Pizzagate, I looked into it. I studied philosophy in college, and I always try to approach everything agnostically. And I couldn't really find a lot of information that corroborated what was coming out on the internet. Now, there was a lot of crazy stuff coming out on the internet. And then I got to a guy who said he could ultimately get me to a guy that could corroborate it. And then that kind of evaporated. So I just kind of walked away from Pizza Hut or Pizzagate, not really, somewhat still agnostic. And then, but these emails, they're definitely referring to pizza, and I don't think it's pizza. So I've got to double back on that. And actually, it's moved my needle from agnosticism to, what's going on here? What is pizza the code word for? What are shrimps the code word for? What are fresh muffins the code word for? I think I kind of understand fresh muffins. He's getting into, there's a lot of allusions to jerky or beef jerky. And I don't know what is going on there.
6, the discussion often begins with a real historical case involving Henrietta Lacks, a black woman whose cervical cancer cells were taken in 1951 without her knowledge or consent. And those cells, known as HeLa cells, became the first human cells successfully replicated in laboratories and have since been used in countless scientific breakthroughs. And in online discussions, this real scientific history is sometimes mixed with speculation, where Jamie Foxx is also mentioned as another big name in alleged cloning claims, especially after his unexplained hospitalization a couple of years ago, with some observers suggesting he appeared different when he returned, even though these ideas remain part of online theories and are not supported by confirmed evidence.
When they said I was a clone, that made me flip in the hospital. That's it. These motherfuckers is trying to clone me. I didn't have a stroke. So I'm sitting in the hospital bed like these, and then I saw me walk into my room. But I'm white, so I see the white me.
But he had a Caesar too? Just
not
like
all that, the white me. Okay, gotcha. And I'm like, and I'm trying to get their attention, and no one's saying anything, and I'm like, that's it.
I'm sure there's nothing to see there. I'm sure Jamie Foxx was just being sarcastic. He was just joking about how they tried to clone him, right? But there are a lot of weird things. For instance, where did his head tattoo go? And you've got to admit that he looked very different when he got out of the hospital. I guess that's why he starred in a movie like this right here, because he was telling you truth in plain sight. Or even the fact that he starred in a movie like this, and look at this poster right here. a coffin shape. I mean, come on. But again, I guess Jamie Foxx was just joking in that clip because, again, that's what he does. It's good to see that he's doing.
Some celebrities have openly talked about body doubles, though in a very different and more playful way. For example, Janelle Monáe once joked in an interview that she has a clone who takes care of her music work, while another version handles her acting career, making it clear that she was speaking in a humorous and exaggerated way, rather than seriously suggesting anything real.
It's very simple. I have a clone. I have a clone for music. I have a clone for film. I have a clone for my personal life. I have a clone for my family life as well. So that's how it gets done. And each clone is under contract.
And which one am I talking to now?
Well, if I told you that, then, life wouldn't be as fun.
What makes all of this even more intense for some observers is that every time people think they have reached the end of the discussion around Jeffrey Epstein and his influence over Hollywood and global politics, something new appears that reignites the conversation, and recently reviewed documents from the Epstein files have drawn attention to his connections with several high-profile figures, including magicians David Blaine and David Copperfield, although it is important to note that neither Blaine nor Copperfield has been accused of any criminal wrongdoing related to Epstein, but the documents have still provided new insight into how they were socially connected in certain circles. In some reports, there are references to Blaine filming parts of a project around 2013, with claims that a segment for a television special was recorded in a location linked by investigators to Epstein's New York residence, and comparisons were later made between the footage and publicly released images of interiors connected to Epstein's properties, while correspondence from that period also describes planning and discussions about Blaine visiting for a shoot involving well-known figures, with messages suggesting coordination of visits and filming activities during that time, even years after Epstein's 2008 conviction in Florida. And Blaine, who is widely known for endurance stunts like being frozen in ice or suspended in a transparent box over the River Thames, has not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing in relation to Epstein, and is one of many public figures mentioned as having had social interactions with him after his earlier legal case. The same reporting also points to connections between Epstein and David Copperfield, with records showing multiple messages exchanged in the 2000s and photographs placing Copperfield alongside Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell, along with references in investigative files suggesting overlapping social interactions and occasional contact within the same circles, including accounts from individuals who said they encountered both men in related environments, while noting that Copperfield has also not been accused of criminal wrongdoing related to Epstein, and that earlier federal investigations involving him were ultimately closed, with prior allegations in separate cases handled independently by authorities.
That's my job, to transport the audience and make them forget a little bit about the reality of the day.
6 women that the FBI Seattle office wanted to interview about David Copperfield had already been interviewed in relation to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, and according to one memo, one of those women said she had worked for Epstein and had also been around him during that time. Together, these developments are often presented as part of a broader picture emerging from the Epstein files, which some interpret as mapping out a wider network of individuals who moved within his social orbit, even as legal accountability remains focused only on specific proven actions and allegations. As for the question about Jim Carrey being cloned on Epstein's island, there is no verified evidence supporting that claim, and it remains an online theory rather than a documented fact, even though it continues to circulate in speculative discussions and comment sections.